All right, guys, it is Ask Christian Anarchist number 47. Welcome, and well, you are welcome most of all. And there's some ice cold, refreshing water that I have just consumed because hopefully I'm going to try to make it through tonight. Well, I can't say without yawning because I already just failed that one. All right, the second time. Okay, that being said, we're going to try to do our best to do the usual that we do on this program. Anyways, that being said, welcome to Ask Christian Anarchist number 47. We have 3 more episodes before we hit the big 50. And we always have a fun time joining with this particular program. So thank you for being on, watching with us, because I see we got 5, now 6 people watching. So hopefully we get a good, decent amount of viewers for the moment. That being said, we're going to first explain the rules. And in fact, let me see if I still have my graphic, or did I delete it? Because there was a thing that, there it is, how to question. Okay. Because this is a graphic that I have specifically for explaining to you how you can interact for this. So you have 4 options. You have 1, message me on Google Hangouts so you can get the link, and then you can come in here, and then boom, we can have a discussion on Ask Christian Anarchist. Then we have another guest that's just joined us, Aleximus Prime. We'll get to him in a sec. Then we have use live chat on YouTube. You see the live chat you've been interacting with on the YouTubes? Yep. That thing right there allows you to do live chat on the stream, and you can ask your question there, and I'll get to it. Third option, you can tweet your question with AskCA as the hashtag, and I'll see if I can find it. Just be sure you also mention me in the thing at Cristo_Anarcho. Then you can ask your question on the Discord server. We have a link in the description that you can check out to join, which also do off-air portions afterwards. So hopefully y'all can submit your questions in, and we can get as much as possible. In fact, we have 2 questions to get to from Discord. By the way, if you're coming here, it's a first come, first served basis. So that being said, let's go ahead and get a couple of questions out the way that we have had from Discord down the line. So starting with, let's see, I'm trying to see where, okay, here we go. First question comes from Marshall Mathers, and he asks, according to you Christians, why will Jesus come back for, or what will Jesus come back for? Well, because he says so in terms of prophecy. He will come back to destroy his enemies. He will come to rid the world of its evil, and then to bring us into a peaceful reign. And then comes the resurrection, where there will be a new heaven and a new earth. We will have new bodies. There will be no more death, pain, and suffering in this new world. This is different from the concept of heaven as well. So meaning even people in heaven, once that time is reached, will then eventually have their eternity in this particular paradise that's similar to what was in the Garden of Adam and Eve. So that's what we believe Jesus will come back for. Then Berserk Blitz asks, is Hades and Purgatory the same place? Also, do we need someone else with us to properly understand the Bible? First question is simple. They are not the same place. Hades is basically hell. Purgatory is not. That's some alternative doctrine. It's not an actual place and idea. There's a good documentary that refutes the unbiblical teachings of purgatory, and you can find it from Reformed Apologetic Ministries channel. And then we have, and do we need someone else to properly understand the Bible with us? You don't need someone, though it may help, like say like a pastor or something like that. But as far as you needing somebody else to properly understand the Bible, the scriptures themselves make it quite clear that the scriptures themselves are sufficient in a basic understanding of what theology implies. Now, if you want to understand historical things like, where do we get the word doctrine trinity from, and historically where do we find this, that's another issue, as well as maybe certain breakdowns of other doctrines like Calvinism and where we get the verses at for that, and Arminianism where we get the verses for that. But as far as what we are saved by, what we are saved from, who is God, all that kind of stuff, this basic understanding is easy to properly understand, and that's really all that the layman should be able to know. They could get a good amount of knowledge just reading their Bible, and at least in a good, decent translation as well. So you don't need someone else, but it will help you. But it's not a requirement. You don't need it. All right. That being said, we're gonna quickly go to Aleximus, because we were talking earlier on Twitter about something that he wanted to bring up on the show, and I think it's actually quite interesting. And who knows, maybe I'll weigh my thoughts and comments in on this. So, Aleximus, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Christian?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, well, basically, for anyone who's wondering, who needs context, like I told you earlier, and it seems you already got wind of it. I don't know how you did, but this information came up several days ago, and a week ago, actually, we had the My Little Pony movie starting to air, so the timing couldn't have really been worse. We got ourselves a great movie, and then this stuff comes out. Basically, there's this character in the show named Scootaloo, who I don't know many here watch the show. I know Sister Hipster has seen some of it. She would know this character.
Yeah,
she's this young.
She would be Applejack's sister, if I'm correct, right?
Apple Bloom. Scootaloo is everybody used to think, I remember way back in the day, that she was Rainbow Dash's sister. She's actually not. She just looks up to her like a older. And but anyways, this young character, there's this book that came out recently that ties in with the show, so it's basically canon. And in the book, there are these two. She's got parents. See, everybody used to think she was an orphan. That was like their headcanon. So I don't know if they're mad about that now or anything, but her parents were away, and she was with who has a female, quote unquote, partner, it seems. And although in the book they did not explicitly say, they're lesbian, they're in a sexual relationship, that would take it way too far. The book, basically, there's this scene where one of the characters gives a kiss on the forehead to the other one. And there's this online blog in the fandom called Equestria Daily, which immediately saw this and had to talk about it. And they basically treated it like, ooh, is this hinting at our first, gay couple in My Little Pony? And I don't know what their politics are, but I'm pretty certain the people on this site are, okay with that. Because, like, in fandoms, there's people who do shipping, in particular gay shipping. So they'd be okay with that, progressiveness and everything. But Equestria Daily obviously had to talk about this, because you know how it is with news. If it's a talking point, it'll get views, and we do what we do. But one of the writers, I think he's a writer or like a supervising director or something for the show. His name is Mike Vogel. He basically, I guess, confirmed it when somebody on Twitter asked him, are they an actual official lesbian couple? And he just said, like, well, they're not sisters, but they are a cute couple. And then they're like, affirming it. And then he's like, that they're a cute couple. Yeah. Basically, it's canon. Now, I kind of can ignore this because, for one thing, it's from the books, and I don't read the books. I don't even read the tie-in comics.
I don't think as much kids read the books than they do watch the show. I mean,
No.
That's the one thing. Even like there's been things that have come out, like Star Wars and all these others that have had separate books that are supposed to give more detailed thing, but more people either play the games or watch the movies.
Yeah, they're
And
the show and also the new movie. Those are pretty much the things that are going to get the most like views, the most attention. Like, I'm not even that interested in the comics anymore, and they are actually kind of interesting, but they kind of screw around with the show's canon sometimes, which has made some
The comic books are not canon.
be canon. But anyways, I posted a quick little, well, it wasn't quick actually, it was a really long-winded comment on Equestria Daily on that post that they made about, they made 2 posts actually. The second one I think either came up today or yesterday. Like Vogel stated that it's official basically. I made a comment on one of them though, basically outlining how this is basically what I said. This isn't a good idea. And to be fair, because I didn't want to get into the whole, like, is homosexuality right or wrong thing, because it wasn't really the proper arena. I basically said, this isn't a good idea because it's controversial. We don't need to know why. It just is. And for the same reason, we wouldn't put violent content, profanity, or sexuality in the show. We shouldn't put this in either because, it's a kids show. It's got to have standards.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't want a right-wing writer putting in any like pro-Trump propaganda in the show. So why this?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that fair enough? Of course.
Good idea.
So, and to add to more of that, because it's a controversy, the fandom could go kind of insane over this whole thing, and I'm kind of starting to see that happen, although it hasn't really reached its peak of a blank storm, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. It's just pretty much as warning people, if it gets beyond the book and it actually, because now people are theorizing they're going to have an episode in the show, which I don't think they will, because that's taking it too far. And I think Hasbro, the company that owns My Little Pony, knows better. Maybe that's the reason why they told them, okay, you guys can do this, but you can only do it in a book, and don't explicitly state it, just kind of imply it.
Right.
I'd like to
but here's the thing. But here's the thing too, is that, I mean, because Penn said earlier, like the comics, for example, while you said that they mess around with the canon, Penn had mentioned the comics themselves aren't canon. So the question is,
they're like B canon. They're just like B canon, which basically means they can sort of be like following it, but at the same time, they sometimes kind of go against it, if that makes any sense.
Right. So it's like its own side story, though, but it's separate than what we're seeing like on the show. Right.
Yeah.
So if it has its own, if the books get a certain B canon, then to me, they can do what they want with it, just because I mean, people have like done this kind of stuff for every other kind of series that's been out there. You've had people that have done this with Star Wars. You've had people that have done this with Grey's Anatomy. You have people that have done this with every single kind of thing that's become a show or a hit movie. And it's usually some independent author is wanting to cash in on the whole thing and wants to make like his take or his renditioning of a story. And some of the fans are definitely going to want to get in on that. But the thing that we also need to consider is that these things are usually going to be like short stories and usually won't be considered canon. That being said, I do kind of agree that I think this wouldn't do much good if this did actually become a thing. And that's why, as you said, they're just theorizing, and it's simply being a theory that they'll make this an actual thing until, it happens. I personally don't think that it will, because I know that what they do with the show is simply making it entertaining for both the adults and the kids in a way that it's not just simply just like some kind of a weird show that dives into these things like you've seen in some of the shows like Steven Universe and all these others. This is like, in my opinion, about as a simplistic show as you can get. Because one episode might not be related to the other. You only have like rare instances where like you have a 2-part episode thing going on. But then you have just moments where in one episode they're telling campfire stories. In another episode, Weird Al Yankovic makes an appearance as a guy by the name of Cheese.
Oh, have you been keeping up?
Huh?
Have you been keeping up with the show?
I've managed to see a couple of episodes thanks to you and Lexi. Let's just put it that way.
Because I have there was a recent episode with a kind of campfire story theme, so I that's why I asked that. And yes, there was Weird Al Yankovic. He did voice Cheese Sandwich. That was a great episode. I loved that.
Good old Cheese Sandwich. But back to what I was saying. When it comes to the show, you know, I personally think that they may be, at least in my opinion, I could be wrong if things come out later in life. But I'm trying to remember the exact quote. But the guy who created or is the artist for Fairly Odd Parents, Tough Puppy, and the
yes,
and
Butch
the other
Hartman.
Butch Hartman. He said something that I found quite interesting that I ended up having to retweet this because it was, to me, accurate. He's basically saying if you're going to make a show for kids, remember one word influence, how you're using yours. And then another one, actually, this is the one I was trying to remember. It says, I'm not a big fan of people who use children's entertainment. Now, that's not just saying cartoons. That's involving anything, for that matter, to push a political agenda. Can't things just stay fun? Now, there's moments where you can do something with the LGBT aspect and actually make a good joke. I forgot what the name of the show was. It was on Disney, and there was a scene where the girl was waiting for her friend, and the parents were kind of like stressing out, and the girl comes in, and then there's these two women, and apparently the dads wanted to talk to the parents or something, and then it reveals it was two moms. They're both moms. They didn't kiss each other on the screen. It just implies that, you know, they're a lesbian couple and they have a daughter. And then there was something that the dad said later that made it a comedic effect. It was gold. It was comedy genius, and that's it. That was the purpose of what the whole thing there is, and they never get mentioned again. It was just specifically to use something from something we have going on. That's the LGBT thing. You know, there are people that are in a same-sex relationship in a marriage, and it was just hilarious. And it wasn't pushing anything about, you know, we're going to come in these series often and we're going to bring about persecution and all that kind of stuff. That didn't get mentioned at all.
May I?
What show was this and when was this?
I'm trying to.
Hello,
all
Charlie.
I know is huh?
Hello, Charlie.
I think so. Yeah, it was Hello, Charlie, I believe is what it was.
Good Luck, Charlie.
Oh, Good Luck.
Disney show.
Yeah,
we're getting our shows mixed up either way.
Yeah, well, that was kind of recent, like I think around the year like 2008ish, 2009ish. But nowadays, see, things are getting so much more progressive now with the entertainment industry, and this is the reason why I'm not too worried, because, like, see, Steven Universe kind of got away with it because, like, there was no source material or context to say, like, okay, they're not going to do that with Steven Universe, because no one knew what Steven Universe was before. It wasn't a toy line before, like My Little Pony was. So they kind of got away with the whole, like, LGBTQ whatever messages and everything. Plus, they introduced it early. With My Little Pony, it's kind of too late. And again, since My Little Pony is widely known as, you know, a child-centered brand, and you know, a lot of parents are going to be, you know, keeping their eye on this, so they don't want to see this happening. I highly doubt they will put it in the show, but I'm already starting to see a lot of fans, even a lot of people I'm friends with, push for that to happen. And this is basically how I view it. Just to get this out there, I'm not a homophobe, of course. I'm totally against that. I don't think that's the right way to handle it. Obviously, as a Christian, I need to reach out more to the gay community, not, you know, agree with their lifestyle necessarily, but we need to respect them. They're still human beings. But I said earlier how it's a controversy, and it's if it does get in the show and it's too, like, it's pushed too hard. Like, even if it is in the show, I doubt it will be that big. It's probably just going to be a quick, like, visual, but they won't even use the word lesbian. That would take it way too far. But if it does get in the show, if it does go too far, it's going to really cause a rift in the fandom. I mean, it's this news about it being in the book is already getting people to kind of fight. There's already a petition, I think, on change.org to it needs like 500 signatures. It's already about halfway there to send a message to Hasbro Studios that, you know, Mike Vogel, who, by the way, I think I forgot to mention, Mike Vogel is gay. The message is to go to Hasbro Studios that I think it was either remove Mike Vogel or make him apologize, because he also made a very, you know, snide remark about Trump earlier, which, and I'm not saying everyone should vote for Trump or anything. I'm completely neutral on that, but Trump made a tweet like yesterday saying that they're not going to be able to keep the aid to Puerto Rico much longer, and he retweeted it, calling him a piece of blank. Now, that's just horrible of a thing to say. This guy, like, I don't care what he thinks about Trump. He's working on a children's show. May not be looking at his Twitter because they shouldn't be on Twitter. A lot of parents might be. And if it's not parents, it will definitely be fans who are expecting some professional behavior. That was very unprofessional. And apparently he deleted the tweet, I guess. I guess he realized, okay, yeah, I took it too far. I'm not following his Twitter. I've actually muted him because I don't want to see any more of his stuff in my feed in case anyone wants to retweet it. I'm just, like I said, I'm not that worried. And if it does happen, I think we'll manage somehow. But I'm hopeful, but at the same time, I'm kind of skeptical. I guess it was just a matter of time before, you know, the whole PC culture thing found its way into My Little Pony, even if it's very mild. And here's the thing, like I said this on Equestria Daily also, that they have been able to, and you mentioned earlier, that kind of like Good Luck Charlie. There are these two characters that the fans love to, you know, ship.
Yeah.
Characters. Their names are Lyra Heartstrings and Bon Bon, also known as Sweetie Drops. And see, this is one thing where the fans pretty much came up with this in the first season, seen with each other a lot. They're both female, so the fans just kind of latched onto that, like a lesbian couple, because, you know, they just want to ship everything. So they did, and in the show, there was this one episode where it was the 100th episode, and to celebrate that, they actually made it not about the main characters. They made it about all the background characters that the fandom pretty much.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
I understand. It's good to get the information out there, but if it's possible, could we get Pin's take on the subject? Because I know that he's a brony, and I was hearing he was trying to weigh in earlier.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Well, anyways, I was just saying those characters get shipped lesbians, but they're not really. But they were put together as friends, so it wasn't, you know, officially lesbian, but people can take it that way. But it's not really. So basically, mild references like that you can get away with, but making an actual lesbian couple is taking it too far.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get Pin's take on this real quick, and then then we gotta move on to the other people that are asking the questions in the live chat.
A few things. I'll make it as fast as possible. First off, usually when these things are in a children's show, it's not pushing an agenda. It's usually normalizing it. Like when you see it in the other Cartoon Network shows like Steven Universe. Steven Universe didn't get away with it because nobody knows what it is. It's a super popular show on Cartoon Network. It gets away with it because it's not pushing any kind of agenda. It's normalizing the idea. And the same thing with Gumball. When Gumball occasionally has these gender spinning episodes, it's not just pushing any kind of agenda. It's normalizing it because these are normal things. So if it's in My Little Pony, and I think they have already done this. It's normalizing it, because I was going to say that if you don't think it would ever happen, then you're not paying attention to either the show or the fandom. Because yeah, they did it already with Lyra Heartstrings and Bon Bon, and no, they didn't say it explicitly, but they very heavily implied it in that episode. And then you don't know anything about DJ Pony, aka Vinyl Scratch, and Octavia, because even though it's not explicitly said in the show, that's suggested as well. So they already have lesbian couples in the show. They just won't call them lesbian couples yet. And they don't have to. It doesn't matter, because they don't want to push an agenda. They want to normalize the idea. And there shouldn't be any problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is the first time we've actually gotten them kind of even implying. I've never heard of them saying anything with Octavia and Vinyl Scratch.
Well, they don't have to say anything. All they have to do is imply it.
Yeah.
The fans came up with the idea that they live together and that they're a lesbian couple. They did the fans. That episode was full of fan service.
Okay,
And
so but fan service itself does not automatically equate to them being paired. That's just like fans have their own suggestions. I've seen like in a ton of animes where we see this kind of thing, but they don't officially, they'll say it themselves in the shows, even though there's heavy amounts of fan service, and even it being the same genre called fan service, that they're rejecting what is the fan service implications. So I mean, because I know the whole thing about Octavia and Vinyl, and I don't see how they could possibly be a couple. I know they probably live together, but then they just like fight and act like they're not that much friends, except for one episode where they get along for a wedding thing for that moment.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right. Fan service doesn't automatically make it canon. However, what we can establish is that what we know of the show so far is canon. And even if it is just fan service, stuff that they did in that episode carried on in further episodes. And yeah, we didn't see Octavia and Vinyl living together, but things like Lyra Heartstrings and Bon Bon are like they always have been, always well connected, always together. And in that episode, they heavily implied the idea that they're in a relationship, even though they didn't explicitly say that they are in a relationship.
Well, I did say friends, so make of that what you will. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, they kind of made it seem more than just best friends. Okay.
So like how so?
They seemed very romantic, if you know what I mean.
Define romantic.
They were really close.
Well, when you're just saying that, but it doesn't tell me anything. Did you look at the
friendships in the show? Yeah, the friendships in the show are close friendships. But when you compare the friendships that are normally in the show to what happened between Lyra and Bon Bon in that episode, their relationship was a lot closer.
That's why I'm asking, because I haven't seen the episode. I would expect you to at least describe to me.
It was a lot closer than best friendships would be normally in the show. It was very romantic. They were really close, and they were kind of substituting the idea of "I love you" to "you're my best friend."
Okay, could you then again? I'm asking specifically, like quotes, examples. You're just saying it seems to be implied.
Rip, dude.
I mean, they were just being really affectionate with one each other.
Really affectionate.
Okay, well, I mean, until I see the whole thing, I mean, I've seen their indications.
Broke her heart when she found out about Sweetie Drop, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lyra was pretty much brokenhearted when she found out this person who she quote unquote was best friends with has been a fake this entire time. Kind of.
All right. Well, I'll just have to look this episode up myself then, so that way I can. This is the one thing it's killing me. Just because of either seeing things that you people keep recommending me to see, or arguments like this, I don't know. Y'all might end up getting me to be a brony at some point, but I highly doubt it. Just letting you people know this right now.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's best to start with season 1, but that's just me. That episode, by the way, is a little more recent. It's from almost 2 years ago. And
like I've said before, I don't plan on becoming into this. When I watch season 1, then you'll know I've become a brony at that point.
Episode is season 5, episode 9, Slice of Life.
Okay. So I'll just get Alex to send me the links for the episodes.
If I can find them. I kind of hardly.
Anyways, we're gonna move on because we got some people that are inside the live chat and elsewhere that are going to be asking questions, and we got to at least get to one of those. And before we get into here, yes, but we're gonna get to some of the people in live chat because during our conversation, a lot of people have been commenting. So let's see. We have Speaker Box 123. Thoughts on the Boy Scouts letting in girls now? Well, if they personally, you know, if it's Boy Scouts saying that, you know, that's if it reads Boy Scouts, and you know, that doesn't make sense for girls to be in there. Now, if it was just simply because of what I've heard is mixed. Some simply saying Boy Scouts, then I've heard Cub Scouts. The heck, Cub Scouts. Well, you can have a guy cub and a girl cub and a bear kind of thing. So the title of that doesn't have to automatically imply it, but traditionally boys, I guess, have joined that. So if it's simply just the Cub Scouts, then I have no problem. But if the thing itself, especially in the rules and regulations, say Boy Scouts, this is a Boy Scout regime where it fits within that category, then I'm not for the idea, because then we can start changing anything to the point where
equivocation fallacy.
Oh my God!
How's that an equivocation fallacy?
The second anyone says that you can change anything, that's an equivocation fallacy.
Well, I mean, would you then? So why is that not the same thing as when trying to do it with other kinds of issues regarding the matter?
It's a case-by-case thing, isn't it? You can't just say you can change anything. That's it.
Can I join the Girl Scouts then?
If they want to let boys in, yeah. I don't see a problem with them letting girls in.
Oh my God.
All right. Anyways.
All right. They're essentially the same thing, except one makes cookies. I don't see a problem with it.
Not necessarily. The badges, of course, are different. But my only thing with what I stated earlier is whether or not if the title itself was called Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts. Because some places I've seen, they just say Boy Scouts. They don't say they're anything else but that. But there are places that call Cub Scouts, some places that call themselves some other kind of scout, and that traditionally just boys have been there. Now, my point is that unless it's explicitly saying, you know, Boy Scouts and stuff, then I think it should just simply be for boys, because the title is there, and then you have something as neutral as in terms of, say, Cub Scouts and whatever kind of thing they may have elsewhere. As long as they don't have any rules or regulations limiting the whole thing, which that's what I'm saying. If it's the Cub Scouts, like labeled simply Cub Scouts, and not saying we are the Boy Scouts, instead if they are the Cub Scouts, I don't see a problem with you know, you just calling yourself Cub Scouts.
Cub Scouts is like the junior version of Boy Scouts.
Okay.
Just like brownies are the junior version of Girl Scouts.
Yeah, but you can be a cub, but you can have girl cubs when it comes to that term. It's not, cub is not a male gender term. That can imply, that's just simply meaning a child or a baby. So
what about mankind? Should we
mankind
them because it's called mankind?
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
Well, you said it can't. That girls should be allowed in the Boy Scouts because it's called Boy Scouts, but we refer to our species as mankind. Should we exclude women for the same reason?
There are two different terms and two different definitions within that regard. In one sense, it's explicit to only guys because of the term of man and then kind, but in terms of referring to humanity or Homo sapien, then we have mankind in that context.
Okay, so it's okay to twist the definitions when it suits your needs, but
no, it's what you find in Merriam-Webster's dictionary.
Like what you do?
In Oxford. It's what you find in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, Oxford's dictionary, about all these different definitions that come from the terms. It's not
about.
I don't. Okay, then you don't care about the meanings of words.
You know what tense I was using it for. I don't care what the dictionary says. You know what I was using the word for. So don't twist it to mean for two different definitions. You know which definition I was using. So that's the question I'm asking.
For humanity, and I'm saying it does not. And I already said my answer that
That
They
it has
are,
two
and
different definitions. That's your answer.
that it has two different definitions, and they fall under the one that you were using, which is that they are a humankind. Just because it uses the word mankind in there doesn't change the fact that the definition that has been used and established indicates that for the context.
Okay,
What about woman?
and definitions change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but because definitions change does not mean you go willy-nilly changing definitions.
No, you're
This is how-
absolutely
this is how-
correct on that. No,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
absolutely correct on that. It becomes based on priority or popularity and stuff like that. If the Boy Scouts want to allow women or girls in, they should be absolutely fine to do that. They can change their own definitions. They're their own corporation.
Okay. All right. So
Let's move on.
yeah, because we got other people that have been asking the questions in the chat. So before we get to them, Christian man, you came in here first. Do you have a question?
1 second. Okay, just go to somebody else for now.
Okay, then we go to Penn.
Oh, I don't have anything right now.
I'll try it. All right, let's see. I do know we do got at least one person.
There's
By
not
the
much
name of
going on.
what's his name? Mohammed Abostate. Think about that for a second. Almost sounds like apostate. I don't know what to say about this account. Okay, so Mohammed Apostate, what do you believe about evolution? I believe that it's a process that has been directed and divinely controlled by God as an engineering process to bring about his creation. That is what I believe about evolution, and that we can observe what we can know of it with what we see in the natural sciences, such as biology and so forth. Okay. So give one more just to give some more time. Let's see. Okay. All right, so I guess we're out of that. All right. Well, we're out of questions on the live chat, but if anyone's got more questions,
I'll
feel
give
free
you
to
a
submit
question.
them. Huh?
I'll give you a question.
Was my
It's a
wait,
tame
Penn.
question.
My turn.
Oh wait, hold on.
Penn.
Wait, hold on, Christian. He did offer
Christian can
first
go.
because okay, all right, fine. Christian, your turn.
Thank you, Penn. What in general is Reformed theology? I've seen it applied mainly to Calvinism, but is there more than meets the eye?
Mm-hmm. There are different strands of Reformed theology, some that take it to a way different extreme. For example, there's been a guy that's come on here a couple times and has shown a very extreme bit of arrogance by the name of. In fact, I'm actually going to need to check if he changed his name because he changes it quite often. One point it was a hyper Calvinist. What was it? 1589 or something along those lines. Then a hyper gracer or something like that. I don't know. Like he had a lot of interesting views, and that was because he was a particular Baptist. And these guys basically are just very far-fetched. They're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs out there in Reformed theology. I self-identify as hyper-Calvinist usually, and they'll say that people like me, a Calvinist, someone who affirms the tulip and salvation by faith alone, not by our deeds and works, all that kind of stuff, will accuse me of being a Roman Catholic Jesuit agent, and that there's somehow some secret ties and connections that you can find that I have relations to the Vatican and all these kinds of things. So they go about all kinds of ways to justify their doctrines. And the one way they do that is like ask you questions like, do you believe, what do you believe we're saved by? Is like by faith is like, oh, so you're saying we're saved by works? It's not by grace of God. So you say by faith, It's like, well, is faith a work of yours or work of God? It's like, it's a work of God. It's like, so you're not saved by faith, you're saved by God. And they try to get all, I call them theological Nazis for a reason. And this is very good evidence to indicate the point, is that a particular Baptist, in my opinion, is a terrible Baptist. And Reformed theology, at its goodness, at its core, is when you find the essence of it in application as well. So you can find this in Calvinists, certain strands of Lutheran teachings. So some Lutherans that are conservative are definitely going to somewhat display these kinds of levels of Reformed theology. And there are certainly going to be others. And in fact, even the Southern Baptist Convention, which is a denomination that I'm a part of, has shown that you have some people that cling to this Reformed theology perspective, but don't usually wish to identify as Calvinistic. They just refer to what they had grown up in, and that is Southern Baptists. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate your question, man. Thank you for asking your question. Now, that being said, we're going to do a little reminder for some of you that are watching still. Let me see if I still got that there. So let me put that up on the screen. If y'all want to interact, now's your chance. Message me on Google Hangouts if you want the link. Speaking of which, I might need to do that while I'm reading the rest of these. Send me a tweet, or you can also use the live chat on YouTube, stream out your comments and your questions, and then, of course, ask your question on the Discord server. Don't have any much more on those, so yes. Anyways, that being said, while we're doing that, we're going to pin for the question. Next one.
You're gonna be surprised. I have a very tame question.
That is surprising.
I know. Question is, are you going to go see the My Little Pony movie? Because it was fantastic.
No, like I've told the other guys, like I've told you just earlier, like I've told Alex before, like I've told Lexi, like I've told some of the other people on here. I am not officially a brony. I am not emphasized with this whole thing. If an episode happens to have come on and I'm bored and have absolutely nothing to do, I might just watch a little bit just out of boredom. And that's about it. But I mean, I don't plan on getting dedicated to going out and seeing a movie. And I've actually had thoughts about that. As like, if you go, imagine like, I don't know if this has happened before, but I mean, I've taken my client that I would take care of as a caretaker to see kids movies. It's just because he's got something going on that he has an interesting interest in some of these movies that have a connection to what he's used to seeing as a kid, and he's kind of wanted to relive those moments. But we're having not necessarily that kind of case with these, where it's a serious adult fan base going to a movie, and some might even be in cosplay. Then you got little Susie going, "What's going on over there?" It's like just all of them dressed up in the different pony hoodies. I can just imagine the scene. It'd be awesome in my opinion, but at the same time, I don't know. I just can't be. I just won't. I don't think I'll be going into the theater to see it. If y'all expect me to watch the whole thing, I'll I don't know, make some kind of dare or game out of it if I end up trying to watch that thing if it comes out on Netflix.
Well, I'm telling you, go watch it because it's a My Little Pony movie, but it just happens to be a My Little Pony movie. It really is much better than that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll wait till it comes out and is not in theaters. For that. I'll just say that much then. That being said, so that answers your question. I have not seen My Little Pony movie, and I don't know if I will or will not see it. But that being said, thank you for your question. Regardless, Mr. Penn. All right. So we're gonna go to some more questions before we get to Sister Hipster. Hey, sis.
Hey, see ya.
Hey, we're gonna get some more questions from because we have quite a bit decent amount in the live chat, or not the live chat, the Discord chat. So that being, I keep saying that being said, we need to find new pattern words. Anyways, so we do have like at least 3 more questions, or maybe 4 more, because I do know someone messaged just right before we went on. Okay, so Marshall Mathers asks again. Here is a good question to think of: is Jesus Yahweh, or it's a different person? Jesus is Yahweh. He is God. I don't understand what you mean by different person, because are you referring to a human person or a person of the Trinity? He's different person in the triune Godhead of Yahweh, but is he a different being? Is he a different God? No, he's not. So this is why I asked on Discord to clarify the question. Okay, so then his other question was, is the Holy Spirit a person in the Trinity, as far as being a physical human being or a different God or being or entity? No, he is the Holy Spirit is Yahweh, and the Holy Spirit is a person in the triune Godhead of Yahweh. So he's a different he's a person in that regard. Anyways, we'll take my time for one more question. That is the only question we have left, is from another Calvinist question. As a Calvinist, do you affirm both of the following arguments? Okay, so 2 arguments here. Premise 1, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Okay, we have cosmological, the basic one or whatever. So you had to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Okay, so therefore then goes to another one, saying that everything that begins to exist has a cause, which then points to choice began to exist. Conclusion, choice has a cause. Yeah, I would agree with the arguments, except regarding the cosmological argument, Kalam version, I disagree with it being too vague, in my opinion, and prefer the Lebanesian cosmological argument out of those. But as far as choice goes, I kind of agree, about choices beginning to exist, therefore having some sort of a cause. Though there's still also going to still be debate on what exactly the cause of choice will be, regardless of whether the person's theology or atheistic or whatnot. There's still going to be debate on the issue of who's the cause for this. So thank you, One Way, for your question. All right. So, sister.
Huh.
How you doing?
Okay.
Okay. Have a question for moi?
No, I'm just here for the ponies.
Ah! They said for the ponies, but one of them left.
Oh, nuts.
No! Yep.
Sorry.
She might be here for something else, but
Oh,
I
Alex
was watching Coraline, so with some friends online, so
You was watching what?
Coraline.
Oh my goodness, that sounds creepy.
Yeah, it's a Henry Selick film. I think that's how I'm saying it right. I hope I'm saying it right.
She
Pretty
hopes
It's a pretty
she's
good
saying
film.
it right. Yeah.
But no, I don't really have a question. I'm just here. I was just here for the ponies.
Ah, great. Well, there you go. All right. Well,
and for something else, but I'm not gonna say that.
moving on. All right. So before we check out the great. What is that?
That was me.
I'm about to say, well, I hear ring, 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 ring. It's your phone. But yeah, anyway, so we got a interesting announcement, and I don't know. I've already asked for people on Twitter to vote on this. So I'm going to ask y'all guys. Y'all can comment if y'all want. So theological discussion has gotten tired of it. It's the simple banner that I've been using most of the time. So a guy by the name of Zachary Lawson on Twitter had messaged me and edited out this particular interesting banner that can be used for the background for the next theological discussion podcasts in the future. So we have this one that's used. And you can see it's just the basic. It shows my actual avatar. But the one thing I found interesting, and I think actually might make it, I don't know, make me fit in with the hippie crowd more, is this other one that's been used. And I want y'all to, oh goodness, I hit Paint 3D. Okay, open up with photo gallery. There we go. And also, it kind of looks like I'm wearing a turtleneck in this one too. But then I have this one where it's like very shadowy. You can't see my eyes, no mouth, and it's just like very hip and mysterious kind of thing. And I don't know.
You more look like a superhero on that.
Yeah, I kind of look. I look like the Invisible Man, if anything. But, or in this case, like half Invisible Man, half Shadow Man. But you know, as you can see, there's I'm kind of feeling this one. In my opinion, I'm liking this, but at the same time, I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave y'all's thoughts in the live chat, and then when this video is over with, leave your thoughts in the comments. I'll consider y'all's advice at least before making the final decision of which banner I'm deciding to use. So, that being said, let's check because we see we definitely got some more people coming in with questions. Dear, praise Jesus! All right. Okay, we got go down. Okay, the speaker box asks again, CA, what does it mean that Jesus fulfilled the law? Okay, I explained this in my debate with Mac Thomas a while back. So when we see fulfill the law, we see it as in the specific word and its definition. Fulfill, like fulfilling prophecy, bring into fruition, bring into come to pass. And when people usually hear the word the law, they sometimes just simply think just simply the commandments of the law. To us it may, but to a Jew, what does this word mean? Well, to a Jew, they would understand one word, Torah. What is Torah? It literally translates into the law. And what is this Torah, the law? It's always the first 5 books of the Bible. The Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And if you look in each of these 5 books, there are messianic prophecies. So he is in reference to that he's not come to abolish the law. He's not come to simply say it's something we just simply ignore or dismiss, but to fulfill it. And he's pointing out that it's significant because Christ himself is fulfilled within this law. He is what the law talks about. And as we see in the writings from the Apostle Paul, that actually things such as Sabbath days and all these other things that we find that are ceremonial, if you would wish to call it that, in the law, are actually a shadow of the things to come, the things that is in Christ. And in fact, it's Colossians 2:16, 17, we read of this. Let no man judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of a holy day or new moon or Sabbath days, referring to specifically the laws that condemn such actions, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. So the shadow of the body is this law, and the body that if you keep looking from the shadow to see, well, whose body does this shadow get casted upon? It is of Christ. That's who we are striving to meet, not the shadow, but the body. So that is ultimately what we see when we read the phrase of Jesus fulfilling the law, because a lot of people misunderstand, just skim past fulfill and just read it in a vague context. Well, if you were to see fulfilling prophecy, you get a different meaning than what you're trying to imply, for at least for some people, like Mac tried to imply within verses like this. So that is what it means for being the law as fulfilled. So we have tulip doctrines of grace. Is a person lost if they hate the wicked? If they don't desire to walk in their path and shun them, God hates the wicked, but can we? Wait, I don't know if this is that, because I see that then Pin replied, so I don't know if he was specifically talking to him or me. Tulip can clarify in the live chat, because I see he happens to be in there. Because I want to try to answer someone different, because the only other question we got is from Speaker, who asks favorite reformer. And I think you know very well who that may be. Personally, Calvin. Why not Luther, even though he is the founder of the Reformation? Well, Luther had some very strange ideas, and he had to be mixy-topsy-turvy everywhere. Calvin, even though he had some questionable views, I think is less controversial compared to the reformers that have grown up. Speaking of which, for those who are ready for Halloween, also shout out to all the churchgoers to Happy Reformation Day on October 31st. It will have been the 500th anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. Also, welcome Wayne Fillmore. Who is apparently deciding to take a vow of silence.
Hey, CA.
Oh, hold up. Yeah. What's the point?
Oh, hey, guys. I'm sorry. My computer is muted, but what's up?
Not much, man. We're doing what's it called? We're live with the thing, and I'm forgetting.
We're doing a lot of Christian Anarchist thing, and it's my turn to ask you a very important question, philosophically interesting about the world.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
I guess my question for you, CA, would be, when it comes to thinking on philosophical questions like purpose and meaning and our place in the universe, do you ever think about how little other people think about these topics? For example, you probably think about theology and philosophy very often in relation to if you go to work, maybe some of your coworkers might not think on those deep questions. Do you think about that a lot? How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I think that regarding philosophy and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I think, it's an interesting subject to explore. I'm no expert at it, of course. I think there are other people that are more qualified to dive into this subject in terms of arguments and thinking terms, such as inspiring philosophy and a few other wonderful people and brothers in Christ. But as far as other people, I do know that sometimes they kind of dismiss philosophy and such. That's up to them. I don't think it's. I can tell them simply that you use philosophy every day, regardless of whether you claim to know you are or not. But that doesn't change anything. The fact that they use. The point is that they don't have to study philosophy. They don't have to be experts on philosophy or have an interest. And I think the main thing that needs to be focused on is for the Christian to be in their walk in Christ, to study their Bible, to be devoted in their worship with God. And as for the others out there, to live a life that has a decent meaning and purpose that you see. Don't just simply try doing the old Sid Vicious kind of way. Actually go out and live life to the fullest. There is definitely a lot that you can get from this world, especially things that you haven't seen, just as, for example, for people like Penn pointing out, apparently, My Little Pony movies. So, is that your does that help out with your question?
I guess, but I wanted you to just dig a little deeper.
Like define deeper.
When I say deeper, I mean in the sense of going down the philosophical rabbit hole
Okay.
and using great philosophical terminology. No, but in all honesty though, how like so what I meant, if I could rephrase my question, is when it comes to people in their day-to-day lives not thinking on these subjects, does it concern you? Because it concerns me that people live, because I think they think that life is like this big Monopoly game and you acquire as much properties as you can on the board, and then when you die you just put it back in the box.
Mm-hmm.
So does it concern you that people don't think about these questions?
Not really. Because I think that people have different ways of going about things and thinking about different things. And it may just be because sometimes they're too busy with other things that are more important in just allowing them to live and survive, such as getting going through with their job just so they can have enough food to deal or enough money to get food and clothes and support the family, especially if they have a child. I knew a guy at work who used to be like as very casual as can be. Then he kind of like changed from having a different hairstyle. He had his attitude was just very kind of strict. Then he like just hated being at the place, whereas last time he wasn't so hating working there. And then with having a kid, things definitely changed in regards to sort of priorities that he had. He's definitely more dedicated and mature, but still at the same time, I've known times that just so he can take care of the kid, and sometimes just so he can relax before taking care of the kid, ask for particular days off, or certain things, or certain times off, should I say. Sometimes he'd work half a day and then, let something go to somebody else. That being said, I don't think it's that I'm worried if someone doesn't think of these kinds of questions, because I know that there are other people who think of these questions. And as long as there's somebody, I'd rather have at least one or two persons rather than none.
Good answer. And with that, I have to go. But it was nice catching up with you guys, and I missed all you guys so much, man. But I'm busy a lot nowadays. But I'll talk to you soon. God bless you guys.
Shalom Aleichem. Have a good one, my friend.
Night.
Night. All right.
Night,
All
Wayne.
right. Yeah, he already left. All right.
And I find that the
Ooh.
oh, sorry, I was thinking about this, but I find that there's just some people that just don't have that extreme abstract critical thinking about these philosophical stuff. At least I don't. At least sitting down and reading a book. But I don't know. I feel like, with people in my life that I've encountered, when I was going to another church, they were more intent on trying to be spiritual and be focused more on prayer and having a spiritual walk with God than the philosophical things. But that doctrinal philosophical stuff seemed to go by the wayside sometimes. But I also feel like that the pastors really need to study up on the Word of God in more depth, which I think some of the pastors and assistant pastors from the first church I was attending really need to do that a little bit more, because most of them don't got a degree in theology. That's just my opinion.
All right. Well, you definitely have your right to put on your opinion, and girl, you just expressed it. All righty. All right, so let me check to see if we got any other questions in the live chat before. Dang it! Someone else besides Speaker Box asked some questions. Yeah. Oh wait, actually, we do have one. It's from Keyblight. You asked via. And this is actually interesting. So this will actually allow me a chance to pull out my software. So Luke 12:32, Calvinist perspective from Keyblight Zemnis. All right, so we're gonna be using the King James in this one. Luke chapter 12, verse 32. What's the Calvinist perspective? What's the verse? First of all, we have, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." Well, I think this goes without saying what we believe the flock is. "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." But as far as what the verse is saying, let's go into a whole context here. So right here we see definitely a lot of the words of Jesus. So what's going on? "And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother that he divide the inheritance with me. And he said, Man, who made me a judge or a divider over you? And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of the covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesses. Then he spake a parable unto them, the parable of the rich man who sets up greater barns." I'm not going to go too much into the whole thing and then about the parable, but he says, "And he said unto his disciples, Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, neither for the body, what ye shall put on. The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouse nor barn, and God feedeth them. How much more are ye better than the fowls? And which of you, with taking thought, can add to his stature 1 cubit? So we see this go on, and he's explaining about sufficiency and providing. Then we have saying to who? The disciples. "Seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." So we can see that that not only is it specifically believers, but specifically the apostles, the disciples that are in reference into this particular passage. That's who the little flock is. So while we believe it's in believers, and think there can be a parallel context in this, because there are times where Jesus says, "I am the shepherd, and the shepherd dies for his sheep." And so we see that with this phrase, what I think is going on, excuse me, is not just cannot be just a Calvinistic perspective, but even the Arminians, I think, would also agree that "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." We see that people like Peter are somewhat given this kingdom right, and that he basically has the ability to give people not just for himself to go into salvation, where he's been saved by grace through faith, but he's an evangelist as well. And whenever he preaches during the day, at the day of Pentecost, whenever the tongues were spoken, and he goes and starts preaching, and tons of people were saved as a result, he indicates, at least from what it seems to me, that he was kind of talking that similar language with that "I give you the keys" and such, and that with his keys, the keys are the evangelism efforts, and that opens the pathway to heaven in regards of salvation. And whoever decides to walk through the door, or is aware of this path, aware of this door, is enlightened by being born again, may go through it. So that's kind of where I think we can get the context of, the kingdom here, and that the little flock being the apostles makes perfect sense within that. So thank you for your question there, Mr. Zemnis. And apparently someone from the Muslim chat has mentioned something on Discord, so I don't know. All right, just a reminder before I continue, we have only 45 minutes left before we end the show. So another reminder, if you want to submit a question, message me on Hangouts, live chat on YouTube, tweet your question to Ask CA, or use the Discord for your questions. I don't see anything on Hangouts, and I have not seen a single thing when it comes to Twitter. So far, Hangouts, live chat, and Discord seems to be the one thing we've been doing at this point. For YouTube, I mean, for regards to Hangouts. Anyways, that being said, see, Christian Nunez, Bible Flock Box is fake Christian Seventh-day Adventist church cult. Yes, I agree. One more question. I try to check back with some of the people in here because I know y'all been waiting and y'all may have come up with some questions by now. Speaker says, what is the difference between a Reformed Presbyterian and a Reformed Baptist? Well, Presbyterians are automatically Reformed by definition. Reformed Baptist is if you want to get a definite look without that explains in more detail, look up the Westminster Larger Catechism and its confession, comparing the Baptist Catechism and the the Second London Baptist Confession of Faith. So, because those are two different confessions and catechisms. Westminster belongs to the Presbys. Baptists, obviously, it speaks for itself. But the main difference that I can think of is baptism. Presbyterians believe in infant baptism, but they believe in it as a covenantal sign. They don't believe in it as a work that is a redeemable sin salvation kind of thing. And then when it comes to Reformed Baptists, we believe only a believer's baptism, full body submersion, and infants can't do that. So that's pretty much the difference between these two specific Reformed sects, besides the fact that they share common soteriology views. Anyways, so again, send y'all's questions in because we only got like about 45 minutes left. So starting back down from the line, we're going to head on over to the Christian man.
Hello. My question is your best defense for Jesus' divinity against Islamic against Jehovah's Witness, Muslim, Unitarian. Best defense for the Trinity. Actually, better yet, Jesus' divinity. Be very specific.
Okay. Well, besides John 1 and 14, which no matter how much you try to argue around the Greek, it's quite clear based on the manuscript evidence on specifically what is being said.
Would John chapter 8 also be a good one as well, where Jesus says that before Abraham was I am?
Well, you'd have that, but there are people that then differentiate on what exactly that is. The best part that I think would be seen is the fact of that there's a worship that goes on that is attributed that you should worship only one God and one God alone. But yet, I think there's better arguments in regards to, okay, where is this worship seen? So, for one, you have John chapter 20, verse 28. What does it say? John chapter 20, verse 28 is where Jesus has talked to Thomas, doubting Thomas, and he doesn't believe what he has seen. And he says, reach hither thy finger and behold my hands. Reach hither thy hand and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless but believing. To which Thomas replies, and I'm going to use the Greek here because it's important, my kurios and my theos, my Lord and my God. Kurios and theos had been attributed to the Father in the passages, and they refer specifically to this divine being. I think it's quite impressive that we see that he's basically gives like a veneration of worship by answering and saying and calling him his Lord and his God. But is this the only instance that we have this? No, not really, because if you remember the story of when Jesus was walking on water, there was a time where after Peter was pulled back up, that the apostles bow down to worship Jesus, and it literally says that in the verse, Matthew chapter 14, verse 33. In fact, let me get it. Verse 33. Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, "Of a truth, thou art the Son of God." The word is proskuneo. That's the word used for worship. And when it's used, it means to adore or in worship. So basically, in the worship of a deity, in a worship of a god, and they were worshiping Jesus. And in all these instances, I have yet to see a Muslim explain, because I've asked, can you show me where does Jesus rebuke that for worshiping? And they can't give an answer. And I can imagine that if you're going to claim to be as a Jehovah's Witness or an Arian or something that claims we need to worship one God, please show me where Jesus is rebuked here, because if what the verse is saying here is correct, Jesus is being worshipped. He's being treated as another God. And unless Jesus is trying to rebuke him, then there's nothing you can say that proves your point that Jesus isn't God, because these disciples recognize that, and Jesus would have rebuked them if they were wrong. So that would ultimately be my argument in case.
Okay.
And for some reason, my mic wasn't unmuting there for a second. All right. Oh, yeah, I just realized I kept that Ask CA picture thing up for quite some time. All right. Grant, I'm almost acting like General Han Solo for a second. Hi, guys. This is General Han Solo. Today we're going to be talking about ancient Near Eastern theology and how it correlates with the Bible and the local flood story. Anyways. Okay. All right. We're going on to Penn Valentine, who's got his time in for the question. We got 40 minutes left if any of y'all chaps, lovely chaps, want to get in on this. So, Penn, shoot away.
No, I'm good.
And that is why you suck! But I kid. I need to wake myself up, though. Sister, how are you?
I'm good.
I keep asking that. But in all seriousness, do you have a question?
No, I don't think so.
Ah, great. I almost thought I had you. All right. So, not a single person has asked a question, but we see Tulip and Pin is going out of the live chat. Lovely. All right. So, nothing on Hangouts. And, of course, nothing on the Twitter. All right. So, I guess until we get a question started up, unless Christian Man has another one, we shall just...
You called my name.
Okay, what? We were going with Mexican cartel right now? Or?
No, I'm Russian. I'm Russian.
No. If you do Russian, it's going to be a little...
No, like this.
Yes, like this, comrade. Yes, like that.
I know, comrade. We gotta do this together.
Yes, but I agree. I think I'm drinking vodka. At least it's clear as water. Actually, it is water.
Man, it's better than drinking that German piss known as beer.
Yes.
It's like an Italian episode.
What? No. Yes, it's more manly than Italia. That Russia that's displayed on that show is a sissy. It's not in like real Russia. Real Russia is all manly.
Okay.
Real Russia, the Girl Scouts make you buy cookies.
Exactly. They make you buy cookies. Yeah, this is what it's going to take to get you people to ask questions. Then fine, well, I'll make myself look like a fool at any point.
I got questions, good comrade.
Okay, I'll entertain what you got.
In Acts chapter 2, does Acts chapter 2 support communism?
Define where? Like, what specifically are you looking for in Acts 2?
Wow.
Like, specifically where in Acts 2?
I will find it really quick.
Okay. Interesting sense of roleplay here. Okay, this will be the first time something like that's happened on the show. By the way, for some of you who haven't already joined, please join our Discord chat because we will be doing these things. We will go to Discord after the show is done. So there you go. Okay. All right, there we go. I'm trying to work on some stuff here. All right. Okay, Christian man apparently, or comrade Christian is still trying to look for it.
Comrade, call me right here. Still looking for it.
No, for goodness sake. This is going to kill me with that voice of yours.
Why? It's a wonderful accent.
Oh, you want accent? Hey, look at me! I'm Italia. I'm in Italy. I can't do it. Todd has me.
It's me, Mario.
Okay, now I will slap you.
cannot do it either.
Okay, we're gonna be
But you must
getting.
speak with a passion.
All right, we're gonna have a guest on.
It's me, Mario.
Jake, hang on. Jake Con, hang on. A-Town. Anyways, so we're gonna have a guest coming on in a few that I've met on via Discord. And she wants the link. So please try to be on your best behavior and respectful. So we'll see what happens. All right. So let me make sure that everything.
I think I found a verse to take out of context. I mean, fight for the great cause of communism.
Okay, what's your verse?
2:40 to 47. We'll be very specific. That's the context. The vital church grows. And it says, those who gladly received this word were baptized, and that they, about 3,000 souls, were added to them. They continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, breaking the bread and prayers. Then there came up every soul in many wonders. The signs were done in the apostles. Now all who believed together had all things in common. They sold their possessions, and the goods divided amongst all. Anyone in the had needed. So continually did it, the one accord, the temple, breaking bread from house to house, and ate food to gladness and simplicity of the heart. See, this is communism.
I'm just gonna say this right off the bat. Your accent was breaking during that read. Anyways, so going to the verse. Okay, fair component of soul belief. Yeah, so they believed and all that believed were together, had things in common, sold the possessions, yada yada yada, and they continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart. This is referring to specifically the early church period and its foundations and such. And they only did this so that they could raise funds for the church, because that's all they were able to do at that particular point in time. So this does not have an explicit command in it, but rather the book of Acts is a book of history. So unless we see somewhere, say in the Epistle of Ephesians or any of these others, that we see this context of a command, then that would be something. But so far we don't see a command. We just see that this is simply how they did it back then. And this was simply the history of the old apostolic church. And I see that Penn says he has to get going to get his show set up. So if y'all want to check him out, though, he's going to obviously have more atheistic content on his stuff, not specifically theological. Check out Penn's channel. He's going to be doing his own show, Penn Valentine, MX Penn Valentine. And give the guy a hand, so just check it out. Anyways, so thank you for being on, though, Penn. And thank you for your question, comrade. I mean, Christian man.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah. I wonder if we're going to be called racist just for doing the whole Russian thing at that point. Anyways, so we got a new guest in with us, Royal. Hang on a second. Let me get the profile. Think so. Okay, just Royal Mav. Okay, so apparently that was the full thing. Okay, Royal Mav. Royal, you there?
Yeah.
Hello. What? Was that you just there, sis?
Yes, her voice is adorable. I'm sorry.
I should have figured you'd find that interesting. Anyways, welcome, Royal. Good to have you on. This I guess this is your first time on the show.
Yeah.
Well, welcome aboard. We welcome you with the utmost hospitality and grace and humbleness. So we only have about 30 more minutes before we end the show and go to Discord for the off-air portion. Do you have a question you'd like to ask on a particular topic, be it theology, anime, voice acting, all that kind of jazz or whatnot?
Who's the good thief?
Say again?
Who is the good thief?
Who is the quick beef?
No, good thief.
Oh, the good thief. I talk about it in the parable?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to that and we'll explore that. So which verse is that in again, the good thief? Try to remember that. It's been a while since I've seen that.
I don't remember.
Let me try here. Luke 20. No, that's not it. Are you talking about like when Jesus was on the cross, or a parable about the good thief?
The parable.
Okay. Let me see. Let me see. Wait, are you thinking the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy, or?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so so I wouldn't call this particular thief good. So it says right here, going to where the start of Jesus is saying that Jesus did speak in a parable at this, but as he spoke unto them, they understood not what things they were being spoken unto them. And Jesus says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep." He is the door for his sheep, because he's talked about in other verses that I have come for my sheep. I'm the good shepherd. The shepherd lays his life down for his sheep. Then he says, all that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep, the ones who are loyal to him, the ones that he protects, they did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out, and find pasture. And then he comments on these people, saying, the thief comes not, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. Meaning, the thief comes only for the purposes of stealing, killing, and destroying. Meaning, these could be agents of Satan, agents of deception that are come to steer you from the path of life, steer you from the path of Christ. And that is, and says that I, referring to himself as Jesus, I have come that they might have life and that they may have it more abundantly. And this is what I was saying earlier. I am the good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, meaning they aren't, those sheep don't belong to the hireling, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is a hireling, and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine. So, the thief that we see is not good by any means. He is someone that has come simply for the purpose to steal that which belongs to Christ, to kill that which belongs to Christ, and to destroy that which belongs to Christ. That is the thief's purpose. That is the goal and mission of the thief. And this belongs to the devil, who desires for this to happen. And that's all that this thief does, is to try to steal, to kill, to destroy, and will use agents, these hirelings that we read, this misthotos, that's the Greek word that is used for the passage, that are basically used by Satan, by the thief, to go about to where these sheep are, and ultimately then even portrays them as wolves, so that they may be scattered, so that they may be divided. And that is ultimately what the thief is. The thief is Satan. The shepherd that is in the opposition to the thief is Jesus Christ himself. Did that help out any, Royal?
Oh yeah, that was helpful. Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah.
By the way, salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum. Walaikum assalam.
Welcome.
He's so cute.
Yeah, are you gonna keep going on about the cute voice?
It's so cute.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Goodness,
I mean, goodness gracious.
and great. Now we got him going to his Russian voice. Anyways, all right. So we got we're nearing up to 20 minutes. So let me see if anyone's in the live chat has asked anything. Not a single person. All I had was an amen earlier. And wait. Oh snap! I forgot. That Galactic was trying to ask a question. I hope Galactic is still in here watching the live chat. Let's see. Galactic asks, do you think that some saved people, I assume is what was read there, some saved people will be left behind on purpose? And this is Key Blake's. You gotta switch up your profiles, Key. Seriously? Oh well, I'm not picking it. It sounds like an interesting name. Okay. As far as saved people being left behind, I'm not too sure on that because I haven't gotten into too deep a study in the Book of Revelation. But it could be possible that some may be left behind that are saved or not saved in regard, but are believers, but are put down so that they may be used as the instruments for God to carrying out and distributing still the message of Christ's return. I believe that's still I believe that would be a possibility. So I hope that may answer your question there.
But CA, we're in the end times already. You got to follow the 10 Commandments because it says so in Revelation.
Oh, we're going on about this whole thing with Seventh-day Adventists, huh?
I'm teasing you there.
I almost thought you said you were joling me like Joel Osteen.
Oh, you want to see Jolin? I can do Jolin.
Oh dear
So
Lord.
are y'all pre-tribulation?
I don't even. I don't take a position honestly because what I think is what Jesus said. No man knows the hour when the Son of Man returns. Not even angels or even Christ himself during his earthly ministry even knew. Christian man.
Sorry.
Man, hard to concentrate with the background noise there, mate. It sounded like you were just crackling up some bottles and using them as target practice.
I was using pencils.
Either way.
Pens, actually.
Either way.
All right, so okay, so let's see here. Oh yeah, Galactic saying, I hope that's not me if that is true. Well, all I'll say is this, Galactic, before I get to Navy's question. Just think of it like this. Be bold. If God does choose you for that, be bold and have faith and be strong in the fact that he has chosen you for this. Now, again, we don't know if that could happen for you. But if it happens, God always has a plan for things. And the plans lead to glorious conclusions, especially in bringing him the glory and to bringing about the redemption of others. So if you would be able to have a chance, you can you can give people the good news and still get them redeemed during that time of end tribulation and end times. It would be wonderful, in my opinion. So just keep that in mind. I can understand being afraid, but also keep in mind, be bold, be strong. If you have Christ on your side, you have nothing to fear. You have nothing to worry about when you put your faith in him. You'll have hard times, but you can get through it if you have Christ. Absolutely. All right, so we have, I agree, weird question from Navy Blue Tay. Would you wear diapers or not? We already know the answer. We already know the answer.
Only if he gets old.
We don't know that. I may protest. What? You gonna drive down and force me into that one then, sis?
Only if you get old.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Because stuff breaks. We're just like a machine.
You got mail.
Apparently you got mail.
I got mail. I feel special.
Well, I guess you do feel special. All right. Okay. Here. Do we have any more? No, we don't have any more on the Discord question section. So, sister.
Huh?
You have a question.
Okay.
You got a question.
Okay. I'm not. How would you explain the doctrine of the Trinity to people who are non-believers? I know you've probably had some pretty interesting encounters, but it is confusing.
I agree. Here's what I'd say is in regards to explaining the doctrine of the Trinity. The doctrine of the Trinity can easily just simply be explained that, for one, we do believe and affirm that there is only one God. Mm-hmm. That has to be established with certainty. So while we believe in the existence of one God and that God is one, we also affirm is complex unity. And the Bible seems to indicate this very clearly, because we see that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are both, or all of them are attributed as God. But here's the question: is then okay? 3 persons, 1 God. How does that make any logical sense? It may not make sense to us because it's outside of our realm of comprehension. And this is actually not some mystic jubilee kind of concept. Matter of fact, there's actually a great thing that I saw from a guy who goes by the name of Carl Sagan. And Carl Sagan is, if you don't know who he is, he's a good scientist guy. He passed away, of course. and he had a show on called The Cosmos, which was the most famous show. It was eventually then brought back to life by Neil deGrasse Tyson with trying to do his own version of it. And what we see from Carl Sagan and Cosmos is, and I'm not going to be able to show the clip because I don't know if there'll be a copyright infringement for just showing bits and pieces of the clip. But he basically explains, you know, first starts out with saying, you know, think about a world called Flatland. It is a world where everything is simply flat, and that the only concepts we're familiar with is length and width, but the idea of height is very vague and non-existent to us. We just simply have complete flat ways of living. We can only see left, right, forward, and back, but we cannot know what is up, what is down, because everything is completely flat. So that being said, we live in that kind of world, and then all of a sudden a visitor from another dimension comes. Happens to be in the form of an apple, and the apple is a three-dimensional shape. It has height. It is in this three-dimensional form and figure. It hovers above and says, "Hello, strange creature. I am from the other dimension." Well, the flat man cannot see up. He can't, so he doesn't know what's being displayed, and he can't see anything except a somewhat small, vague shadow, and that's all he can really see. And it's not much of anything once we actually look at what that kind of shadow would be. So that being said, we see that he can't see or comprehend this being because it's outside of his dimension. Then the next thing is showing a cube. So we have a cube as a three-dimensional thing, and that's in our three-dimensional realm. It's in the same form as us, something that we can comprehend and understand a bit because it's in our grasp. And especially when you bring it in a projection to the two-dimensional world, which is able to be done via putting forth of a shadow, meaning hold a cube out in the sun, especially if you have like a see-through cube, and you can see kind of like that old thing you used to do for art class where you had to draw the three-dimensional shape. Right. But you can see that it also kind of alters it a bit. So that being said, let's take a concept that was explored on Cosmos, and that is the Tesseract. Not the thing in Marvel that is that blue square, but rather this little interesting square, and it is hard to actually quite imagine what it is. So I will see if y'all can see my screen and the depictions. So first of all, we have this. Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Actually, let me check to make sure that something's not on there. Okay, yep, it's nothing.
Yes.
All right. So let me point it back. So right here, you have the Tesseract. So right here, we see that while it's a cube, then we see another cube inside of it. And so all these lines indicate something. And that is that if you try then to bring it into the other dimension, it's not exactly as comprehensible. In fact, this itself is only just a sample of a standby alone Tesseract. So going to like a good, decent visual model of the Tesseract. Take, for example, this. It may be small, but if you were to just simply like move it around and such, this would be kind of what we see in the Tesseract. And going to another visual with some more formable glass, imagine that cube we were just looking at earlier. This is sort of what we're seeing when we kind of move it around a bit, and this is within the fourth dimension. Can anyone imagine how we're getting that?
It just looks like a D&D dice turning into another D&D dice.
Because at one point it looks like it's going back to what we were seeing earlier, but then as we're spinning it around and giving it, it's still something that's beyond our comprehension of how it's coming to be where it's at. So if you study a bit more on or look at the full video on the Tesseract from Carl Sagan, it's actually very interesting as to what exactly the Tesseract is and how outside of our comprehension it actually is. So in a way that the Tesseract can be something we know about, but can't fully comprehend it, so through the Trinity, that we can't fully comprehend it in its entirety. Likewise, when it comes to, say, energy, this is a great analogy done by what's his name? John Lennox. Energy. Energy is something that we know about, that we use it in our conduction of stuff, and it's used to provide the conducting of matter and such. But we just know that it can be used for gas, for anything that we use that's in electronics or any of that. But here's the question: what exactly is energy? Christian, man, do you think you can give us an answer of what is energy?
Energy is that sparky thing.
Well, we know that's what it appears, but what exactly is energy?
It's
work.
It's a
Work.
Let me look up the definition really quick.
Work. Get all about his work.
Here's the thing. In regards to the actual thing about energy, the honest answer that's actually been admitted by a physicist is that we don't know about what energy is. All we know is simply a bit about what it can be used for and such. And that's about it. We don't understand what exactly energy is. And that's why when I'm referring to energy, not just the human energy. I'm not talking about human energy. I'm talking about like the element of energy itself.
I got 3 definitions. The power the strength and validity of required and substantial physical or mental activity.
Get that.
Power derived from utilization or physical chemical resources, especially to provide light, heat, or work machines. And number 3, the property of matter and radiation that is manifest as a capacity to perform work, such as causing motion or interaction molecules.
Yeah, I think the last one. That's what we're talking about. The last one.
And what was the last one?
Let me get it up really quick. The property of matter and radiation that is manifest as a capacity to perform work, such as causing motion or interaction of molecules.
Hey, hang on. Repeat that one more time. I faded out there for a second.
Okay.
No, just repeat it again.
The property of matter and radiation that is manifest as a capacity to perform work, such as causing motion or interaction of molecule.
All right. So does that tell us exactly what it is? This is the property of matter and radiation that is manifest as a capacity to perform work. But all it simply tells us is that it's a property of matter and radiation. But what exactly is energy? I mean, we know that it's a property of matter and radiation, but is that all there is to it? And as honest physicists have pointed out, they don't know what all there is to we don't have a full understanding about what energy is. And so, in the same way, with the Trinity, while we may not have a full understanding, we should at least know one thing, that it can be also evaluated in regards to energy in science. Deuteronomy 29:29. The secret things belong unto the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. So applying this principle, we see things that are revealed in the scriptures. And that which is revealed to us is for our knowledge. We don't get the full knowledge of how can the Trinity be so comprehensive and how can it be logical in any way, when really it's just that we are given so few info and that we're not ready or able to comprehend other parts, just like we can't fully comprehend the tesseract, just like we can't fully comprehend energy. So it's in that way that I would also, that I know this I've been going on for quite some time. That's what I would go in regards to the issue about. Henry, give me a sec. I was there and then I had it about the Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I was thinking about 3-leaf clovers, but okay.
Well, some people have been trying to do the
Fidget spinners.
yeah.
Oh no!
Heresy.
Fidget spinners. No. No.
In fact, let me see if I can find it. There was a
meme that Inspiring Philosophy did.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, not just that, but there was a thing I found that I retweeted, where someone did use this whole thing with a fidget spinner, and then the
why doesn't it use a classical triangle?
I don't know. Oh, here it is. Let me just snip this real quick on a capturing. All right, there we go. Because this is actually hilarious. So if y'all have seen whatever this is, as well as what? Try to remember what the name of it is. The Lutheran satire. Then you're gonna love this. Come on. All right, there we go. By the way, we have
I know.
4 more questions left in case anyone wants to submit in the live chat. Here it is. The fidget spinner theology.
Yes. I've seen this.
That's spinnerism, Patrick.
That's modalism, Patrick.
No, yeah. Let me actually check because I think someone did leave something. Oh yeah, I said that's fidgetism, Patrick. And then Jolly Jimmy tweeted, "All these heresies are making me head spin, Patrick."
all the puns, they hurt. The puns.
And then Jess said, "I bet even a crowd of teenagers would see that and go, ugh."
Oh, I remember that. I did remember that.
And then Alexander Yonchov going, "Oh, Patrick. Come on, Patrick. That's fidgetism." Yeah, apparently something's going on over we're a Christian man is. Oh my goodness. Some guy that's on Twitter called the Arminian Ward.
Mm-hmm.
You have all these different funny Anon accounts these days. And this guy basically said Arminian Ward, and it's the Star Wars episode 8 trailer, saying I need someone to show me my place. And then they have a thing where they showed what's his name, Kylo Ren staring, and then it puts him on the face of some jazz-handed sales guy at an actual house, an actual place. It's just ridiculous. You have to check this. His hashtag, his deal on Twitter is Arminian Ward. That's even his Twitter tag. Yeah. Anyway, so let me see. We got any other questions? Okay, Christian, we get it. Seventh-day Adventists, false. We understand.
Yay!
Yeah, they're definitely Christian man's happy to hear about that. All right. Okay. Oh yeah. Apparently, I don't know why. I guess just a good old Keyblade doesn't like Carl Sagan. He said Carl Satan. Yep.
Carl, that's heresy.
But Carl, that's heresy. Well, we could do a lot with just that particular thing, couldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The God represented by water is that he can change his form. That's modalism, Patrick.
It's modalism, Patrick. Anyways. All right, so anyone got one more question in here before we got to go? Because apparently no one in the live chat's got a question.
Well, I got a question.
Right.
This is more of an observation type statement. Is that one time when I was in a hangout, people have misused parables to suit, like, they use the parables. Jesus taught work salvation.
Yeah.
This is a thought that I've had. Do you think that it's probably pretty safe to be very careful when using a parable?
I think it's pretty safe to say you must be careful with all of Scripture, because there were times where Peter had addressed in 2 Peter that people had been using Paul and had misunderstood what he said and affirmed that he was Scripture. So, that being said, we see the affirmation of Paul as Scripture, and when that's being told to be careful, all of Scripture needs to be careful, my friend.
Yeah.
All of it.
But culture, you got views. You got culture, you got views in the early first century that you got to look out for and know in context, and also that Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew is a punk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but my main point with, like, a parable is that a parable can have a couple of different meanings of how you look at it, but generally you have to be mainly careful, because what you think is what's in a parable may not be what it's actually saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, because that's why I would say that if you actually look at the parable closely, the parable itself will tell you, or Jesus himself will tell you what the parable means. So, in regards to that, what does this parable mean? And I would say, look at what the verse says after he's given the parable. Then, look at the context. Examine it in light of this context. Then just take it for what you see Jesus draw from it. Focus on those elements. Don't use it and then, while excluding Jesus' explanation, make your own conclusions, because that's not what you're going to get. But I would say be definitely careful in regards to the parables, because you can get a misunderstanding if you don't read entirely the context, especially of why Jesus decides to say the parable. So, what is his conclusions? What is the context surrounding in which he is about to go and explain the parable, and examine the parable itself? That would be the thing I'd advise. And thank you for your question.
Mm-hmm.
And we are out of time for now. So if you guys would like to join us, we are going to be on Discord in the Discord server. So feel free to join up with us. I might not stay for too long because some friends have invited me to another area. So I'll just have to figure out if the thing's still on or not. But until then, you know, we'll.
Friends. You
I
have friends.
Wait, what? Oh, come on, sis. You got friends.
They don't like the same stuff I do, and they're always busy.
Girl, what about me?
What about me?
This is online, guys. I mean, I can't go straight to y'all's house.
Then say real life friends but you could say we're friends though still.
Yeah, but it's like I can't like go and hang out with y'all.
Yeah, good point.
Whenever I please.
Well, just get out there and make some. Go to the library, girl. Go to the park. Do something interesting. Just paint in the park. Let somebody walk by and say, "Ooh, nice painting," and then boom, who knows? If it's a guy, there's a good chance y'all might get married.
That's too quick.
I mean, think about it. That's what they do in the movies.
But that's not real.
Oh yeah. You can also get married within a day, like a Disney movie.
That's in 3 days.
All right.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank y'all all for watching. We will head on over to Discord, so we'll catch up with y'all there if you decide to join us. But hey, until then, this has been the Christian Anarchist. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be upon you. So wish that upon you. Have a good day.